It is such a pleasure to have our next guest back on the show. He has been one of America's top stand-up comics for over 50 years. He's got a brand new memoir. I mean, he's got some stories to tell in this one. It's called Still Standing. It's filled with stories that only he knows about legends like Johnny Carson and the one and only Frank Sinatra. Be ready to be entertained by the legendary Tom Dreesen.
Thank you very much. It's so great to be back with you, Mike. I got to tell a story to the audience about you. It would embarrass him, but you should know this about this man. I met a guy from Arkansas who told me when Mike was governor that a Mercedes-Benz dealer came to Mike and said, Mike, could you get my son a job with the state for the summer? He's home from college. And Mike got the kid a job for the summer. And when the kid went back to college in September, the Mercedes-Benz dealer came to Mike and said, I want to do something for you for helping my family. I'd like to give you a Mercedes-Benz. And Mike said, no, I can't do that. It's so great lack of integrity. And the dealer said, well, could I sell you a Mercedes-Benz? Mike said, how much? And he winked and he said, $10. Mike said, I'll take 2. Let me say Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, all across the world. And for you young folks in the audience, you young guys, I want to give you some advice, and you that are watching at home or here in the audience, some advice that you should know if you're going to get married. There's certain things you should know. Starting out, women who are heavier live longer than men who mention it. And married women tend to be a little heavier than single women because when single women come home, they go to the fridge and then they look to see what's in the fridge and then they go to bed. Married women come home, they look to see what's in bed and they go to the fridge. And guys, remember this, when you're arguing with a woman, women always get the last word in every argument. Anything you bring up after is just the beginning of another argument, okay? And if a woman, in an argument, if a woman ever says, what? That doesn't mean she didn't hear what you said. She's giving you a chance to change your mind. And ever you're arguing with a woman and she says, well, do what you want, do not do what you want. Stand still, don't move, don't breathe, you know. Arguing with a woman is kind of like reading the software license agreement. You know, in the end, you just ignore everything and click, I agree. My ex-wife, God rest her soul. She's not dead, I just wish God would rest her soul. What the heck was her name again? Oh yeah, Plaintiff. My ex-wife had a part of the brain that was a database. It restored everything that I ever did wrong from the moment we met. I'm not making this is a true story. I just got out of the service, we got married, and I was married about 3 weeks, and she wanted to use a car that day. And I said, well, we only had one car. And I said, you have to pick me up from work, take me to work and pick me up. She said, okay. I'm standing outside the factory and waiting for her to pick me up, and a girl that I'd gone to high school with, named Pamela, came walking by and stopped to talk to me. I remember she had on a red sweater. And my wife pulled up with the car, and I got in the car, and she said, who was that? I said, it's Pamela. We went to high school together. She never said another word. 27 years later, she came home from the shopping, and she had on a red sweater. I said to her, that sweater looks a little big on you. She said, will it look better on Pamela? We used to argue about so many things. I said to her one time, what would you do if I won the lottery? She said, I'd take half and leave you. I said, I won $12, here's 6, stay in touch. I tease, if a doctor ever told me I had 6 months to live, I'd want my ex-wife to come back and be with me. Because it would be the longest 6 months of If you're going through a divorce, you have to have a sense of humor. I was in court, the judge said to me, I'm going to give your wife $3,000 a month. I said, that's fine, Your Honor, and from time to time, I'll try to give her a few bucks myself. Now, this is something that I just read before. I live in California now, and I just read UCLA. You ladies will be interested in this. UCLA just did a research about the type of face that a woman is interested in a man. And it depends on the time of the month. If she's ovulating, she's interested in a man who has a more boyish-looking type face. If she's not ovulating, she's interested in a man who has a more masculine-looking type face. If she's going through menopause, she's interested in a man who has a scissor stuck in his throat with his hair on fire. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.
You know, we just realized there is a reason that you were the guest host for David Letterman more than anyone else, and that you have been on every stage with every celebrity we've ever known, including opening for years for Frank Sinatra. What a great talent that you have just revealed to us again tonight. Thank you.
That's very nice of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'm excited about the book Still Standing because I have a feeling you're going to share some stories in here that we are never going to hear anywhere else.
That's for sure. It says in the book, the subtitle is My Journey from Streets and Saloons to the Stage and Sinatra. So it takes the journey that when I started out in show business, Tim Reed and I were America's first black and white comedy team. History shows we were the last. From 1969 to 1975, we toured the nation when there were no comedy clubs, and all black clubs in the North and South and all white clubs. And it was historic what we pulled off. We'd go anywhere there was racial tension. We did 11 prisons in 1 year. We did the county jail in Chicago 3 times. Anywhere there was high schools, colleges. We didn't preach, we just went. And see, and today, they say, you know, we need better relations among the races.
Yeah.
They say that today. In 1969, they were saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And Tim Reed and I were having a relation. We were going on stage every night, having fun together. You know?
And Tom, don't you think the entertainment industry probably did more than all of the political world together in bringing people together racially? Elvis, I've often said, was far more effective of bringing black and white kids together to listen to the same music. And that was true in comedy, it was true in acting, certainly true in the music world.
Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. You know,
Great example.
I toured with Sammy for 3 years. I toured with Smokey Robinson. Sammy would tell stories all the time about how Frank brought him into the limelight.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. was the Jackie Robinson of show business. He broke down barriers. By the way, before I go any further, Gary Sinise wanted me to tell you hello.
Thank you.
I'm ambassador to the Gary Sinise Foundation. You know.
Well, there's so many great people that you have rubbed shoulders with. Before we go, I've got to ask about, I love Frank Sinatra. I love his music. I actually listen to the Frank Sinatra channel on Sirius XM. I know that will shock some people, but to me, there's never been another like him. Give us some insight, because you worked with him for all those years and got to be close to him. What kind of person was he just in the one-on-one relationship?
You know, I'm from Harvey, Illinois, and Frank was from Hoboken. When we rode around in a car till dawn, which is, a lot of that is in the book, he never went to bed till the sun came up. He was nocturnal. So whether we were on the road or off the road, you know, we would hang out. And when I stayed at his home, we'd ride around the desert till dawn. In that car, he wasn't Frank Sinatra, the star. He was a kid from Hoboken. I was a kid from Harvey, Illinois. And that's how we talked. He was the most generous human being I ever met. He did more for charity than anybody that I've ever met, and privately and quietly. You know, as for singing, people forget what a brilliant actor he was. He did 61 films. He won the Academy Award. When you gave Frank Sinatra a song to him, it was a script. What did the writer feel the night the writer took pen in hand? He would immerse himself in the lyric and become that lonely guy in the bar whose woman left him, and he's never going to find love again. And you felt that. And you felt the joy of his songs, too. You know, Charlton Heston once said, to watch Frank Sinatra sing a song is like watching a 4-minute movie. You know?
Wow, what a great description of that. No wonder he was an incredible talent. But then so are you, Tom Dreesen. There's a reason you've been in the business for 50 years, and we are privileged to see you tonight.
You can get that on Amazon, by the way.
Well, I hope people will. Tom Dreesen's must-read book called Still Standing, available right now. As he mentioned, it's on Amazon bookstores, and it is filled with some of the fascinating stories, including some close-up and personal tales about people like we talked about, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and many more. Connect with Tom online by going to Huckabee.tv. We have the connections on the website. That way you'll know where he's going to be appearing and go see him.